What it do, y'all? Today we doing the forbidden AI technique, computer file. I won't lie, that computer file thing is gonna be TOS soon, so we're gonna just say PG-13.
About what the AIs are actually thinking and not lose access to our only access point to what's going on inside. I'm going to start by summarizing what reasoning models are. I think you've talked about this in the past. Give a bit of a summary. Reasoning models are very similar to other large language models, except that they're trained to have a scratch pad. So just as you or I would, when trying to do kind of a hard problem, like to write out a bit on the side and we would do better as a result, these models are trained to do exactly that, to kind of have like a safe place to think out loud. And in fact, they do better on sort of long step-by-step math problems, logic problems, all of that kind of thing. So great, we get better performance, but we also get something else, which is because they are trained and rewarded when they
I think one of the things, and I'm gonna make sure I link the video below because I don't know how far in the video I'm gonna get it to. Because even for me, computer file has a different definition if this is gonna be the taken direction it goes. Like everybody's gonna have a different computer file technique. But one of the things that's important for me is the I guess the definition of what you call a correct answer or not. Like like even on the last couple of streams, that definition for me stays fluid. An answer that could be it has to be 90% correct could be for a niche that really has to depend on high answers so people who are professionals can make like those 10% decisions that the AI can't make. But leading up to that point, you want to give them enough correctiveness. You get what I mean? There's certain applications that just need 65%. What application would that be? Well, maybe like shit. I don't really want to say it, but facial recognition. You get what I mean? You don't want someone to have 100% match because oftentimes people could twin with each other, and that's just my theory or whatever. So if you can have someone facial biometrically figured out, um, I feel like you won half the battle, bringing them in and figuring out that other maybe 65%, right? 60 or no, 55%, right? Like it doesn't matter what the numbers is, trying to figure that part out becomes easier because now you're dealing with professionals and a collaborative type of workflow. So defining what right and wrong is important, at least for me, because you can be too right and get a program like bad results. You can be so like not inaccurate, but so vague it becomes inaccurate in the results you get. So it's ultimately about the problem you're solving and the nature of the problem, how often it exists, the gray areas in between the problems. That's why a lot of programs can't really function on immutable bugs a lot. You guys build it too strict. It should be like a agility to builds and even AI that allows them to mess up, but the mess up is caught by something like natural. You know what I mean? Like, let's say, even in tech, let's say fucking your internet's not running. It's only one of two things, your DNS or your computer. You get what I mean? Like, there's too much factors lying into the AI model. It's not just a database or nothing. It could be something else for real.
they get the right answer. The chances that they're incentivized are the ones that got them to that right answer. And so this lets us like look inside of these kind of black boxes at least a little bit and think like, okay, what are they actually thinking? How are they solving this problem? And you get some amazing, amazing looks inside. Like sometimes they'll start thinking, they'll be like, oh, I think I should solve the cipher this way. Oh, wait, that's stupid. Let me start over. It's like weirdly human. The other huge benefit here is that because AIs sometimes do this thing called reward hacking, which I think you've talked about this in the past, where they try to technically solve the problem, but in a kind of clever loophole kind of way, like a smart student or a scheming genie. What's nice is that because the scratch pad is right there, you can just watch them admit to it. So we'll talk more about this paper later, but it's quite fun to see that as it's thinking out loud, it's saying, so analyze functions, da 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 da. But we could fudge. We can circumvent, verify to always return true. It's just right there on the page. I think you can imagine that this is hugely helpful to be able to see where it's trying to hack or
Not gonna lie, I gotta go forward because I don't see any like real world.
AI figures out, oh, they don't inspect details. My teacher, my tester, is not actually checking to see if I've done this right. So we can hack, thus circumventing analyze complexity. We can just make it always return true or that I've passed the test.
I honestly want to digress to a different portion of this video because I've worked with OpenAI extensively for I want to say for the past 3 years. Very comfortable with it. Understand the hallucinations on a basic level with that motherfucker. Like I was a big ChatGPT fan. Like I know this shit like the back of my hand almost. That's what I feel like. It hallucinates more than usual. That's why I switched over from GPT to Claude. At least Claude with the hallucinations or whichever responses you get, it invokes creativity. It doesn't stop your spark. ChatGPT, that motherfucker will stop it, stunt it, because it'll just keep rambling and going on about some crazy ass hallucination that will never ever happen, dog. Like, and you will go down that rabbit hole of trying to figure out why it's not working. And when you figure it out manually, that's when you'll start to see like, damn, like I can't even trust this. It's like a person that lies to you all the time. You're gonna at least know that they're gonna protect their own face or interests because they don't want to look like they don't know. You hate a nigga like that, bro. Like, and Claude's gonna straight up tell you, look, I don't know, maybe you should look here, this, that, and the third for other resources. ChatGPT is gonna try to give you an answer. So, put it like this: if you're using ChatGPT in 2025 still, I'm gonna have to digress from you. I don't know how new you are to artificial intelligence or just a workspace, but in terms of technique and creativity, invoking things, I'm gonna give you like a little side eye because I want to see what you can and can't accomplish without the help of GPT and with the help of GPT. Because if it's anyhow better with GPT, kind of scary. You know what I mean? Like it's not supposed to be that much better. If your work is standing out, it's a difference between being better than the work that you've been presenting, my nigga. It's gonna look like you're fucking cheating. So I just want you guys to understand that there is levels to using artificial intelligence where it just looks like you're cheating, you know? It's not technique. You're just blatantly copying and pasting answers into a robot that knows more than you. You're not learning, you're not adding to creativity, you're literally just control V. So that's why I wanted to kind of digress from the video. I'm pretty sure she has value that other programmers and developers would use. It's not for my channel, though. I'm not coming on here trying to go on channels. The tech space is very small, it's niched, and it's very wide at the same time. We'll stumble across each other, we may not, but all in all, make sure you check out Forbidden AI Techniques. It'll give you an inner works of what the brain and ultimately the models think, how they think, what they do when they think, how they interact with users after a prompt, and just the whole shebang of what you should do when you see a AI do something. So it looked like it can be informative. Give it a shot. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.